truth. And I don't expect you to give me your vote. I want to earn your vote. And I ever quit earning it, then you shouldn't vote for me. You know, my dad raised me with two things. One, a very strong work ethic. You never told Dad you were bored. And you never told Dad a lie. Both of them ended just about the same. There was consequences for that because there's always something to do on the farm. And we got too many people that stand up and they put their hand on the Bible and they raise their right hand and they swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and then they go right back around and they don't even read it, they don't even understand it, and they lie to us. You have to be a man of your word or nothing. It still goes back to the same handshake. Let me shake your hand and let me tell you what I'm going to do. And I expect every day to do that. Now, am I going to be perfect? Am I going to never make a mistake? I hope my wife's not listening to this, but believe it or not, I've made a few mistakes before. But I learn from my mistakes. It's because I'm constantly trying to improve. And so I simply ask for your help. I ask for you to hold me accountable. I ask for an opportunity to earn your vote. And I'll give you 100% why I'm up there. And when I get back, I've got to come back here for 6 years, and I've got to live with what either we got accomplished or we didn't get accomplished. But either way, it won't be from a lack of trying. It won't be from a lack of listening. It won't be from a lack of constantly learning, constantly trying to improve. And I simply want to say thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to see the results in 2 weeks. Actually, somewhere around 13 days. I'm not counting, but we're almost there. Thank you all.
After a great pleasure and honor to speak to you all this evening. Thank you for coming out. We've heard a lot, and the country is really in the thick. If we don't do something now, we've got even deeper problems to deal with. The complexity of our nation. We've heard a lot about intent, what somebody would want to do, why they're willing to step out or to get involved. I'm just asking you to consider a proven track record of performance already at the level that we're needing for somebody to be effective at the national level of our government. In 1 year, myself and 2 other people put together a national biosurveillance program, taking data from global sourcing to provide biological warning protection for over 300 million people. The earliest indications of any biological threat that might impact the United States. I've already talked about being driving force and saving the taxpayers $14 billion on a weapons program that was supposed to benefit my own service, the U.S. Marine Corps. Been developing for 20 years. I've already worked with all of our federal agencies. I have led a 2-year study on the terrorism and drug cartel threats south of our border, the length and breadth of Latin America. I've dealt firsthand in foreign environments where we've had missiles coming down on top of our head. I know what it's like to confront cultures, to play go-ahead soccer and breed nothing but suicidal bombers and oil that comes out of the ground that Western technology brings out of them. So I have been the depth and breadth of our land. I've been around the world. I've seen how well America compares. So if you want realism, if you want an in-depth understanding of the problems challenging us, I've dealt with critical infrastructure protection. I've dealt with our national infrastructure. I understand what it means to have a national economy that can compete with anybody else in the world. Because if you don't have the economic power behind you, you certainly aren't going to have the military power. If you don't have military power, then nobody gives you the time of day globally. They're all interconnected. I've dealt with cyber issues. I've dealt with just the vast number of things our Congress has to deal with on a regular basis, and I've been effective at doing that. My adult life has been in service to the country. Why? Because I really do believe in Reagan's shining city on the hill. He was intimately aware of the threat posed by the Soviet Union. He came into office at the end of the malaise years of the Carter administration. He knew what the difficulties were facing the country, but he believed in America. And he understood what we stand for, and all the resources and the strengths and the things that the Constitution provides us. I've been driven by a love for country. I've been based on constitutional principles and by Christian ideals. So if you want somebody who can be effective on day one, who has already performed at the national level, for you, the folks back here in my home district of Oklahoma, then I'm the guy for them. If you need somebody with a longer learning curve, then look someplace else. But I'm going to be bluntly honest with you. I'll tell you when something that's just ridiculous because it doesn't fit into the real world of the Washington, D.C. and the national environment. I'm asking for your vote. We'll get into my detailed background. Be happy to answer any more questions you might have after the event. Thank you, and God bless.
I too, Daniel, I want to thank you all for having me, my family. We've been here several times, and I appreciate your patience tonight. I want to give you some things to think about as we leave here. Number one, we have a document in this country that really is a gift from God called our Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had one Constitution for 237 years. There's not been a republic on the history of the face of the earth be governed by one document for that length of time. France has had 13 constitutions in the same time frame that we've had just one. It is a marvelous document. It does limit our federal government, and it is the answer to returning our country to the direction that we need to return to. I want to tell you that I have 3 core principles if you send me to be your congressman in Washington that I will live by. And I think they're the 3 core principles upon which our country was founded. The first core principle is that we are guaranteed the right to life. The second is that we are guaranteed the right to liberty. And the third is that we are guaranteed our right to pursue happiness by our federal government. If you expect more from your federal government than those 3 things, then I'm not your candidate. But if those are the 3 things that you think we should ask our federal government for and nothing more, then I'm your candidate on June the 26th. First off, life. Our country was founded upon protecting life. Last year, as taxpayers, we gave Planned Parenthood $500 million, and they performed nearly 300,000 abortions. We have to get back to the foundations of life. Secondly, liberty. We're guaranteed liberty by our federal government. Yet when we go to bed tonight as taxpayers, we owe $15.7 trillion. I submit to you that debt is an enemy to liberty, and it binds the very liberty that we should expect from our federal government. And finally, we have the right to pursue our own happiness. I don't believe that the federal government owes us happiness. I've talked throughout this campaign about the Walmart generation. If you go down here to Walmart tomorrow afternoon, you'll see a generation of able-bodied Americans that could be working that are expecting a handout from the federal government as their happiness. And that is not what we should expect from our federal government. In closing, I want to tell you this. I've received many pledges in the mail throughout the course of this campaign. Many of them I agree with. But I made a commitment that I would not sign any pledges in this campaign, even if I agreed with them, for this reason. We've elected a generation of congressmen that go to Washington beholden to numerous pledges they've signed on the campaign trail, when in fact you're only required to take one pledge when you're sworn into office. You pledge to defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I submit to you, I'm not going to be bound to a pledge. I will be bound to the pledge to uphold the Constitution. What do you do if you sign these pledges and they come into conflict with the Constitution of the United States? If you send me to Washington, my pledge will be to defend and uphold the Constitution of this great country. God bless you, and thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That will conclude our candidate forum.